Hi, everybody. It's Tara from Sojourn Psychology, and I'm here with actually a long-time friend of mine. We've known each other for about 20 years, I think 21, to be very honest. Um, yeah, and we both ended up in Sherwood Park, met up in Prince George. We both ended up here. This is Kris Crawford, and he's with Innovative Mortgages. They're located just by the new Lowe's over by Emerald Hills there. And something that I've really noticed with Kris over the past 6, 7, 8 months, whatever we're at now, is how Kris has really been tapping into his creativity and been really inspirational to me and to many other people with what he's been doing. So, Kris, maybe you could let people know a little bit of what's been going on for you in your process.
Yeah, no, thanks. And thanks for having me today. For me, it's been interesting because I'm a mortgage broker. I'm mortgage brokering for about 14 years here, mainly in Sherwood Park. And the day-to-day that I kind of am involved with is obviously meeting with families, sitting at a computer, working, and using a different part of my brain and using my hands in a different way than I would obviously in the shop. So, especially in this time, just having that outlet, uh, there's actually been times where I was almost thankful that I was able to be home and not have commitments outside of the office to, yeah, just to be creative and to kind of like dive into my passion, which is woodworking. I was telling you earlier that like for me, I've always described it as my sabbath. It's not something I feel that I could ever do professionally as a full-time job. Not something that um, uh, I mean, I feel it's one of those things where science a hobby, science a passion. You want everything you kind of do in your day to fuel that, as opposed to that being what fuels everything else, because then it could potentially take away from that passion and that creativity and that I definitely feel when I'm not in the shop. So yeah, for me it's been amazing, and it's been a tough time for a lot of families that we've seen kind of on the financial end of things. So to kind of have that big sigh of relief when I can just kind of focus on stuff that's tangible and has results that are achievable in a couple evenings is just been such a good release.
Yeah, and I love the way you use the word Sabbath, and that we knit in that rest and that spiritual regulation, that you, as a mortgage broker, especially in the financial crisis that's going on. And for you, that it sounds like something that you get from the woodworking is just this like processing through your own emotions and your own angst about everything.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It's like it's flexing a different muscle for sure. Where it's like I am able to be creative in my day to day with figuring out like like a mortgage product that works for a family for a reason X, Y, or Z. But that's not flexing the same muscle as designing a bed for my son. That has a hidden desk in it or whatever. It just happens to be the crazy idea that I come up with, and like again, like the great part of that kind of creative process is it has that beginning and the end. So to be able to like walk through it and be like, like look what I did. Like I'm at the end of this, and like I've achieved something, and I've been able to. It's interesting because I 100% get this from my mom, and my mom was a quilter, and I was visiting with her over Thanksgiving, and I kind of said, like in the store where I said, sometimes you make something and then it's sitting in the garage and you're waiting for it, and you're in the house, you're doing whatever you want, and I just want to like go back outside and just look at it for a second. And she's like, I do that all the time with my quilts. Because it just has that end that where you've seen the creative process, you've seen or you've been able to see just like something that was an idea that you maybe drew out on a napkin, come together.
Yeah, and to be a part of that creation thing. And I saw the video of your son's bed, and
Yeah,
it was so sweet because you actually had him involved in the project. And I think, there's these things, this positive modeling, not only to our friends, but to our children, and to have your child come on board, and what a beautiful father-son
yeah.
bonding, attaching experience for you guys. It was so sweet.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and it's cool because I have like if you look at some of the other videos I've put out, like my kids are always involved. Like I always am dragging them out there to do things. We recently got a wood lathe, and my older son has used it more than I have, and which is really neat to see. And I think that's just because like he knows that he has the ability to do it, and from being around, he kind of has the skill set to just have that as an outlet for himself as well.
Yeah. And so you see the legacy of creativity from your mom to you to your kids. And what an amazing tool, like we're trying to find ways to cope. And here you are just honing in on what do I need during COVID, which is your woodworking, your fine woodworking.
Right.
And in that, your children are accessing imagination
Yes.
and truth about themselves. So it's a really beautiful thing. And I like how you said exercising a different muscle.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's true. Like it's just such a. I think that's why on my social platform I did, like when we were coming up with the concept of mortgage and miter, which is my social platform, like, comment, follow. That was one of the big things that in conversations with my wife that I said is like this is like it's a bridging of two of the things that are like part of who I am, right? Like professionally and from creativity and from just like what my passions and hobbies are.
Yeah.
And he was the one that said, well, what about like mortgage and miter? And it just kind of like clicked, and it's like, yes, that's exactly it. And it's definitely that place where it's like where actually if you look at the email signature under my email address for mortgage and miter, I think it says like where creativity and passion meets. And that's one thing that definitely I has always resonated with me, that it's an outlet, and like it's just gives me peace. I guess that's the reason why I liken to a sabbath. And but it doesn't detract from my actual job, is where I'm able to provide for my family and help other families.
Yeah. Beautiful, Kris. I like that. Mortgage and Miter. I'll be putting Kris's creative contact information, all of his information in the description below. And I appreciate what you're speaking about, and this attitude of gratitude, this thankfulness, and this is such an important thing for us, especially as we're heading into winter, when it's going to be cold and lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll say goodbye for now. Thanks so much, Kris.
Thanks, Tara. It was good seeing you.
You too, buddy.